This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, welcome to the September Council on Aging meeting, and Tom is chairing. Tom, do you have a copy of the agenda there?
I do.
Okay, and I will download one and share it with people if needed. But you can start. So yeah, you can go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, sorry, I was just emailing Lindsay on that other issue. If she's somewhere, she gets her email, we'll find out. Okay, I will call the meeting to order of the Council on Aging for September 17th, 2024. For roll call, Tom Brown present, Pat Ruff.
Present.
Catherine Carey.
Present.
Stan Diamond. Marie Ferraro. Louise Jacob.
Here.
Kathy Schweitzer. Crystal Cody Stas.
Here.
And Leslie Button. Leslie, you're muted, but we know you're here. Okay, so we do have a quorum. I know the agenda says that we would postpone a vote on the minutes, but the minutes were sent out to you this morning. Thank you, Kathy. On her way to the hospital, I think she said. So is there any questions or discussion about the minutes from the June meeting?
I've got discussion. Can we, and I know that.
Oh, it's just Leslie. Excuse us for just a minute, Tom. Leslie's just entering and had to turn off her phone. So now
Okay.
now she's in person. Hi, Leslie.
Perfect.
Can we request to have, as a general rule, to have the minutes available to the board like a week in advance or something? Because
This can I speak up, Tom, about this?
Yes.
This is a special case. I
Yeah.
put them on the agenda for October because Kathy was going to be out today. But then she, in her kindness, sent us the minutes last minute because she wanted us to have them. So that won't typically happen.
I appreciate that, but we had the issue in the previous minutes. So as a general rule, can we have them
Yep.
on appear? You've got in your car to come
Yeah.
here, you know, so we have time if anybody.
I think, Louise, that's what we're referring to is the last meeting we had was the June meeting. Those minutes, and Kathy apologized for the lateness of them, but she did not expect to be here. So those minutes probably would have been out a couple of weeks ago under normal circumstances. If by any means, if any members not comfortable approving those minutes, we can delay it to the October meeting if you'd like.
I would like to do that. I would propose we hold off because I know I didn't get a chance to look at them.
Okay, we will do that. Let's hold off on those. Public speak. Is there anyone either online, Cindy, or in person who would like to address an issue that is not on the agenda?
There is nobody waiting to be admitted, and there's nobody in person here for public speak.
Okay. Highland Valley report, Pat.
I have nothing to report off the top of my head.
That's great. I don't mean that's great, Pat, but I mean.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Director's report, Cindy.
So I had said that I would share information about staffing because I thought we would be further along in the process of hiring the new activity coordinator, but the hiring has not begun because it still sits with, the next step is for the auditor to check the accounts and make sure that the treasurer's assessment of what it would cost to hire the new person. So there is no staff report. However, I read those minutes from Kathy and it said that I had promised to share with you our new transportation policy in September, which I do have, and that is ready to share. And I can also talk about, give you a quick update on issues that have emerged since our June conversation and what we're trying to do about it, if that's okay to change that up.
Yes, sure.
Okay. So let's go back to this. Okay. Can everybody see the document that says ECOA rides? Can everybody
Yes.
at home see that? Crystal, Tom? Okay.
Yeah.
So what we had said we would do is that we would update our ride policies, and let me make this bigger on our end. As big as I can go. That's too big. Okay. So what we're talking about is that our rides are to supplement what you can get on public transportation and from your family and friends and from any insurance you have or mass health covered rides. That's what the Council on Aging is for. It's to do the things you really pretty much either couldn't do another way, or you want a social experience while you're doing something. And the way we do that is with our vans and with our volunteers. What needed to be revised was that now that there's heavier use of our rides, and because we have a continual flux of volunteer drivers, so new, like a volunteer driver might come on board who uses a walker herself or an oxygen tank, and they can't help somebody the way somebody else can, or their senior tax work off versus regular volunteers. There's just little changes all the time and we learn more. Then there's the needs of people that become clear over time. For example, I think we might have talked about last time, when somebody comes to us and needs PT 2-3 times a week with Cooley Dickinson, we have trouble fulfilling that, committing to fulfill that either with a volunteer or the van. And typically PVTA senior van is great for that, or even the ADA van. And so we arranged that our outreach worker would train, it's called mobility management across the state of Massachusetts, that our outreach worker would start training people on how to use these other modes of transportation too, and take some of the pressure off. Well, here's what we learned that I want to tell you right off before I go through the policy a bit. Southampton and Huntington are two towns where there are major health providers for our Easthampton residents. Southampton and Huntington are not served by PVTA senior van. Southampton and Huntington are served by FRTA Franklin. Franklin will not pick up people in Easthampton. Do you see the problem? People in Easthampton can't get to Huntington or Southampton on public transportation. And we had already said to the world, our new policy is we won't do physical therapy more than, a couple times to get you going. And then you've got to sign up with the senior van. Now, if we put in our policy, except Southampton, it doesn't really solve the problem. We're trying to reduce how much of that we do. So I happened to be lucky enough to talk with a physical therapist from Cooley yesterday, and he said, you know what, whenever somebody needs physical therapy, of course, we assign them to our Southampton office. It's the closest, but it's the furthest if you're on public transportation. So I confirmed with PVTA today that I was going to present this in a public meeting. Could they just tell me from the horse's mouth? And yes, this is true. We've also talked to FRTA. So I put in a call to the Cooley Rehabilitation Central Office to say, I don't want to interfere with people's medical care, but could we talk? This is the problem. You know, could we just talk about some ideas? Because if somebody gets assigned to Outwood Drive, then PVTA can take them. Happy to take them. So that's one issue remaining with the high pressure situation of how's the COA going to get somebody to 10 appointments?
Cindy,
Yeah,
if I heard you correctly, you said someone said Southampton was too far.
no, Southampton is a bridge too far.
Even though
Because,
even though it's 30 seconds over the town line.
so here's an idea for the public. If you need physical or occupational therapy in Southampton, if you can get it on a Tuesday morning, we go there 3 times every Tuesday morning to take people to Big Y. It's in the Big Y Plaza. We typically have room on the van. So that's a starting place, you know, that we can at least try. And we're not letting people twist in the wind. We are helping them, but that's going against the policy that we just put out there. So if you want to call it a practice more than a policy, what we're practicing is trying to help everybody get off the ground. And it's not a hard and fast rule. It's that, you know, what we said we would do is we would, I'll show you. So to start from the top, basically rides are door to door. They're limited, obviously. There are van fares. There's particular start and end times. We refer people to Easthampton neighbors if we can't serve them, as well as PVTA and other places. People pretty much all know they need to call 48 hours ahead of their ride, but what they forget is that it takes a lot longer to get a volunteer driver than 48 hours. So we need them to call as soon as they know that they need a ride. And this is published on our website, and I'll put this slightly revised one on the website soon. So everybody's now trained that they need to call and make a ride request. The person who answers the phone is not immediately fulfilling any rides, but everybody knows that now. It's been like I don't know, maybe 6 months, a year. And then when you call the outreach worker and she helps you learn how to use public transportation or another form of transportation, the problem we're now having is she's doing all this great work. You should see the spreadsheet of all the people she's helping with mobility management. The problem is that some of the people who have the most difficulty are just going to have the most difficulty, sometimes because of their cognitive functioning. And so now they might be riding with PVTA, but they're calling her every week 3 to 5 times to say, where's PVTA? PVTA's late. I said PVTA should get me at Starbucks. No, you didn't. She's not a daily counselor for how things are going minute to minute. And now that it's open enrollment for Medicare and fuel assistance application time, you can imagine also as the outreach worker, she's doing a bang up job. She went to Treehouse yesterday for 4 hours. She had 4 1-hour appointments because of all the work she's doing there to get people to come. And then back at the ranch, she's back-to-back appointments. So we need a solution for the people who need their hand held through using PVTA every day. But we also are committed to helping them get used to it. But really people's main issue is they might have to wait a little while. And please don't walk away to Starbucks. Stay at King Street Health Center, you know, stay at Bay State. Don't wander off. So those are some of the hurdles.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
How does this account for some? Actually, just started a PT course at Atwood, which with my difficulties with hearing and everything, there was when I contacted them, there was 6 or 8 weeks before I started. And I've got the 6 appointments, and this is, like you said, knee related, so it's ongoing. Which I made a month ago. If I'm sitting there saying, I have to ask the day before, I mean, I've got somebody on the phone and it takes about 10 times to reach them scheduling, who's saying, can you do this time or this time?
So so Louise is saying, if you get your order from Cooley that says you've got 6 to 8 appointments at Atwood Drive, what should I do? Do not call us. If it's Atwood Drive, call PVTA, give them all 6 to 8 appointment dates. They will come get you and bring you
My
totally
question is, will they
reliably.
commit to that like 3
Yes.
months in advance? Okay, great.
That is what they are set up for. Regular, consistent transportation. It goes right into their plan for the week. And if you want to add a second stop, just remember, if your appointment at Atwood Drive is at 9:30 and you call and you say, wait a minute, I got another appointment up on King Street for this week and it's at 12:30. Can I go home first? I don't want to sit around in Northampton for 3 hours. No. They're going to pick you up at some point at Atwood Drive, and at some point they'll get you to King Street, bring a book.
Mhm.
Okay. And we might have to do that too. So that's the answer to that. Okay.
Right.
So moving on. Oh, and if you want to ride the senior van, you do not need a PVTA senior ID. You just need a PVTA senior ID if you are going to use the reduced fare on the regular bus. I didn't know that.
You need the ID to get one of the senior buses or ADA buses?
No,
Okay.
nope, that's just for the regular bus, so the driver knows you're a senior. I just want to highlight 2 things here. You must be able to exit your home safely with the driver meeting you at your doorway. If you don't have a ramp and you are in a wheelchair and you need to get out of your house, our drivers will not go up over your threshold into your kitchen, get you in the wheelchair, haul you up over your threshold, down your concrete steps, down to the sidewalk, and neither will PVTA. So this is an unmet need in the community, okay?
And another question from experience. What if you simply need, this will be our drivers, but I mean, they would not come to the door. They would not get out of the van, in my experience, and come to the door to either say they're here, which left me post-op having to wait outside, which is icy and wet and everything else.
So you do, if the driver knows you're in a wheelchair and the driver knows you have a ramp or a perfectly level way to get out of your house, they already have scheduled that you're in a wheelchair and you need to be secured in the van, use with the wheelchair straps. So they will go to your door and get you on the van. If you are not in a wheelchair, but you are either using a cane or a walker or a rollator,
Yeah.
unless we know ahead of time that we need to get out of the van and come get you, then they might be expecting that you are just going to come out. If you wait, let me just think through all this. Thank you, Louise. If they get to know you and they know that you're very wobbly with your walker, you are not supposed to lean on them, but they could just follow along with you slowly from your house to the van. If it is icy, they can decline the ride. If they drive up and they see ice on your walk, they will call us. They'll say it's too icy for this person. They will not walk with you over the ice.
Okay, I'm talking about, I'll have a look at that later, 'cause I have a lot of lived experience, but this would include, how do we know when they're there? If you can't see from a window. Or
How
if
do you
you're-
know if they're there? You're supposed to be outside 10 minutes before your ride and 10 minutes after your predicted ride. You are supposed to be coat on at the door looking out the window. And if you're in an apartment where you can't see if they're there, you have to be down and at the apartment door. We have left many times and called it a no-show. If the driver calls us, we call you, we say the driver can't see you, where are you? And you just can't get to the phone because you're in the bathroom or struggling with your zipper
Or
or
you're-
whatever the really good reason is, at some point they've got to leave. So Tom, stop me at any point when we need to stop. And then the next thing that we changed from the last time I published this is the driver is going to assess whether they need to buckle and unbuckle you themselves if they think you're going to have trouble with the seatbelt, to avoid a situation like we had recently where somebody got so tangled in their seatbelt, we had to cut the seat belt and buy a whole new seat for the van.
Yikes.
Yeah. So, if that makes you uncomfortable, you can talk to the driver. I don't like to be touched. I can see you're gonna have to go all the way around me. Can you just show me how to do the seatbelt? They'll work it out with you. And lastly, companion rides. This is a whole new section of this. I'm gonna put it out to the public. People can look at it, but right now that last page is in the draft form. And what I want to just highlight really quickly is that these volunteer rides sometimes become relationships between the rider and the driver as friends and neighbors, but that's very infrequent. And we want the public to understand that this is a COA service. You get whoever you get and you don't get upset, you know, when we assign you either a van or a companion, and which companion. You can ask, you can tell us you love Alice, you know, you love Bill. And the other thing is you can't make your rides with those volunteers. It all has to go through the COA. And lastly, if you want to show your appreciation, there are ways to show your appreciation, but we don't want people to give food and gifts and money to these drivers that are just for them personally. You could write them a card, or you could show your appreciation to all the drivers and we can help you with that. Sometimes people, we have found, and I know Easthampton Neighbors has found also, people don't know how to maintain their boundaries with the drivers. And that's just, you know, something we can help with.
Excuse me, is that draft when it's going public?
So the companion ride rules, the fourth page of the thing that you've all already seen in the past, it's just about done. It just needs to go through the, you know, the front desk. So like fix the color and that kind of thing, but it'll be up very, very soon. So that is the transportation policy that I said I would share in September. And we're continually learning, you know, and so are the other senior centers about offering a transportation program. So if anybody has any questions from the public or the board, we're happy to talk about it.
Cindy, one quick question. How is that policy disseminated to the users?
Yeah.
So everybody gets a copy of that. It's at the front desk. It's on the website. And we gave an update in July with all the highlights of that in the newsletter. So it was in the July newsletter.
Perfect.
Tom, are you taking more questions from the floor right now, or are we closing this agenda item and moving on?
I would like to close it and move on if we've generally answered most of the questions. There may be specific questions, and I would assume people could reach out to the office if they wanted answers to specific questions. That makes sense?
Okay.
I can talk to you after, but there's a lot of information that is missing from there that I think to certain members of the public would be very useful if you've had an operation and you need this for the first time.
So what we'll do is,
mean,
when this is final, the revised one, we'll send it to the board, and, you know, of course, we'll be putting it out to the public. And if you feel there's additional information that people could use, just remember, we talk with them about all of this. They are guided through all of this, and not everything is going to go into a policy because some things are just practices.
Right.
Some things are, could I just ask you, how is this gonna work for me individually or my neighbor? And we can tell you, but already this is 4 very long pages. So just so you know, not every possible little tiny thing is gonna be in this, but you can feel free to talk to me after you see the copy of it.
Yeah, I would see this practice or policy as more of a backstop for the council that, you know, when something happens and someone says, why did that happen? You could point to the policy or point to the practice. It's more of a backstop. As you said, there's probably a lot of one-on-one conversations that happen individually with folks to explain, to explain the procedures.
Okay, my experiences were, I
Well,
didn't bother.
Tom, I'm asking a question of point of order.
Yes,
Louise is trying to speak about her personal experience with our program. And
yeah,
I'm
Louise,
thinking that
Louise.
it might be out of order with what you just said.
Yeah,
No.
Louise, we want to move on from this item, and I think if you have specific issues related to you, you want to take that up with Cindy or someone at
I'm
the,
talking about the lack of information where you don't want to have phone. I mean, Ashley's great. Thinking about myself 2 years ago, do I need to have to wait
Could
for
I
a whole
please
lot of her
raise a
time?
point of order that the meeting is out of order?
yes, thank you. So we're going to continue on now with old business. The COA Board Statewide Guide. Crystal, is that you?
Yes, I did a presentation at the Council on Aging for board members with a summary and PowerPoint of the guide, and I received some feedback from MCOA who released the guide, and I'm going to be just citing the sources for the data, which was from the board statewide guide, and then I'll be sending that back to her, Donna, and she's going to make it available for other councils on agings to utilize to be able to help train board members. And if there's a subsequent training that you guys are interested in having, or if you want me to send you the slides for anybody who was not able to be in attendance, I'm happy to do that.
Great, thank you. Cindy.
Question. So just, Ashley, it's a comment. Crystal did such an amazing job of reading the guide and guiding us through it, that the person who wrote the guide said, wow, you guys did an incredible job. We want to share that statewide. So thank you so much, Crystal. I know that was a lot of work. And I also thought it took courage to stand up and say, I'm a board member and this is what I think we should get out of this guide. Because a lot of the guide basically says, hey, you've got to work with the COA director and here's the things you got to think about.
Nice.
And so, and it's really as much a guide for the COA director as it is for the board, which is something I didn't understand until that.
Yeah, thank you very much for doing that, Crystal. And the cheese and crackers were good too, so thank you. Okay. The Ad hoc Building Committee, Pat, do you have an update from the last meeting?
You weren't at the last
I was gonna say, I
meeting.
don't think I was there.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the agenda, sorry.
Tom,
Cindy threw you under the bus, Pat.
That's okay.
I did.
Okay, Cindy.
Okay. Is there anybody sitting here who was at the last meeting who would like to report on it so you don't have to hear me talking again?
You might be it.
Okay, so, what is happening, the next step is that we have signed a memo with UMass to do a study of, needs in Easthampton as you grow older. That is an update of the study that they did in 2018. And what we've done is we've signed on to the first part of a study. So if you think of what we did in 2018 as like this big, we're doing this much, and then hopefully we'll get approval to do the whole thing again. And this much is like a down payment on doing the whole thing. The benefit of this is if the ad hoc building committee went around asking people what their needs are, it would be biased. Because the ad hoc building committee's job is to advocate for a new building. So we've brought on UMass to ask people of various ages, you know, what do you think? How are your needs being met or not being met? What do you need as you grow older? And to do that, what they're doing is 3 different things. They are doing sessions where people can speak up in a guided, facilitated meeting, which is coming out in today's newsletter. It's coming out by press release from the mayor's office. And thanks to the school department, actually, all the families now know about it. Thank you. And it's called Easthampton for All Ages Community Meetings. There's 3 meetings between October 7th and 8th, and each one is in a different time and place and format so that we can try to meet everybody's needs, and you can read when those are. And then also the next part is that they are looking at the demographic data that UMass has access to about Easthampton. So, and then thirdly, they're looking at communities of similar socioeconomic status, education, and income as Easthampton to see what did they do about a new senior center, about meeting people's needs. And that's all going to go into a brief report that will be part of the ad hoc committee's whole report that we're doing. The pieces of which, if you recall, here are some possible ideas for where it could be. Here's what people in Easthampton are thinking right now. You know, that's the UMass part. And then what are the places we visited and what did we like about them and what do we think should go into a new building? And then that is going to hopefully be all written up and tied into a bow by the end of December to give to the mayor in the beginning of January. So that is the update from the ad hoc building committee.
Cindy, was it my understanding that as part of that deal with UMass, they were also going to write that report for us?
Not the whole report, just their part.
Okay.
Yeah. That would cost more.
Okay. And I think I saw in a recent email from you, you were asking for assistance from board members about getting the word out about those meetings.
Yes, so once the press release goes out from the mayor's office, they'll put out a Facebook post. So if you could share that widely, and then of course it's in the newsletter. I already apologized to the mayor's office that we're slightly out of sequence in how we're releasing the info because of when the newsletter happened to come out a week early. But that's good because the first session is October 7th. So we really want to get people there. And then if you can think of other ways, you know, we're going to put flyers up around town. Like I said, it went to every family and in the school district. And then, yeah.
Okay, great.
Also, you should come to the sessions. Pick a session to come to. 2 of them are remote also, so you can do it remotely.
Great. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Under new business, we have, we've been discussing it for a while about proposed potential, what have you, changes to the city ordinance regarding the Council on Aging Board. Cindy, I don't know if you can bring those 2 up side by side or not.
All right, let me see what I got here. So first I have,
And I'll just keep talking for a minute while you're doing that.
all right, first we have this one.
That's the
Division, the Council on Aging, that's the existing.
right.
So if you want to talk about the existing, I can go get the other one because I tried and it
Right.
didn't download.
So this was born out of the fact that we realized, I never even knew it myself, that participation on the COA board was restricted to residents of Easthampton and discounted folks who might work full-time in Easthampton. Like I'm thinking a lot of the bankers who have traditionally been great appointees to city boards and commissions, if you will, but might not live in Easthampton, but yet they work full-time in Easthampton. They know as much about Easthampton probably as they do their own hometowns, but yet they were restricted from serving on boards or commissions like this one because of their residence. So it was suggested to me that we could solicit the help of a city councilor to bring this forward once we've made the recommended changes. So this was all born out of residency requirements for board members. It led, though, to, when you look through the existing one, a few other things that aren't lined up with the way we do them. For example, under B, under that first section, it says that the chairperson will be designated from time to time by the mayor. I've been on this council for 34 years, I think, and I've never once seen the mayor have to appoint the chairperson. It's always been the board. So if you can, those are the major changes. If you can bring up the
Yep.
the
I just-
proposed one, Cindy.
Yep, okay, so the revised one and the proposal are Word documents and they won't open in Adobe. So let me just try to share my, to share the Word documents. Does anybody see Word?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, share. So it'll let us share one document at a time, and let me try to make them bigger.
I think there was another document though, Cindy, a different one. Not this one. There was one that laid it out.
Yeah, well, I have to get each one individually. So this one is,
That you don't need.
okay, that we don't need, so we'll go to the other one, which is,
This was when you and I were just working back and forth. The one I sent you this morning
Okay.
actually
Yep.
had it laid out.
okay, this is the revised. Okay, so I gotta get there. To the other one, which is the,
That one, I think.
that one.
I think, because you had the other one open last
Okay.
time.
Okay, there you go. There you
And let
go.
me make it bigger. See if it'll let me make it bigger. That's just smaller.
There you go.
That's good.
Okay,
So if you start at the top under section A, the language is pretty much the same with the exception of persons appointed by the mayor from the residents of the city or persons working in the city. That's simple. Or persons working in the city. That's the change we're recommending to the ordinance. In part B, we've changed it to the chairperson of the council shall be designated from time to time by the board, not by the mayor. So this body itself designates its chair. The part C has not been changed. That stays the same. The section 2-52 is changed. That was reading that the Council on Aging may appoint such clerks and other employees as it may require. In this day and age, unfortunately, the director is not authorized, if you will, to hire employees at will. She does need to go through the city personnel department. So we've added that. So Cindy can interview, determine who she would like to hire, and the city personnel director works with her on that. The last section, 2-53, is the one that, excuse me, I would like to have some input either from Cindy or the board or someone at the council to reword this entire thing, including the title. Duty to carry out programs on problems of aging.
Yeah.
That's how it was worded in 1957. So I do not have a recommendation on that. I thought that was a little bit above my pay grade to try to rewrite this, Cindy. Cindy, sorry, I couldn't see your hand.
so just for information, everybody's looks like this. The Department of Elder Affairs is being rebranded itself and having a new name. And what there is legislation before the legislature that was not taken up, but it will be resubmitted to fix this issue, to better respect older adults today, and the language that is being used by both providers and the public. not everybody has the same language, but they're gonna come up with something. And also that it's more, that statewide, there's more of a sense of what councils on aging are for these days. So I would encourage us to not change anything until that new Commonwealth-wide legislation is approved, and also the Department of Elder Affairs new wording and new name is more commonly known. And then we can take our cue from that and not reinvent the wheel. But I also respect that it's sitting here. We're already asking to change some other things of city council. So could we do it now? So what I could do is I could find out what that legislation is currently and what the new branding is from Elder Affairs is currently, and bring that back to the board at some point this fall. And then we could just wait on changing all of this until we have that new wording, even if the legislature hasn't passed it yet. So it's up to you what you want to do.
Yeah, I don't mind waiting a little bit, but obviously, if we were waiting for some sort of legislation that could take months or longer, it's holding up our ability to add board members who might be great board members but don't live in Easthampton. I saw this, Cindy, as sort of this section 2-53 is sort of the mission statement of the COA. Sorry, I don't think I can talk anymore.
Tom, I just wanted to say that I think when this was written, it was before there were, the directors and staff that were staffing the councils on aging. So the council on aging boards, their job was to identify programs designed to meet the problems prior to there actually being senior centers and senior center directors and staff. So that's why I think it's kind of worded so broadly, because really we're supporting the Council on Aging, and we're supporting the director of the Council on Aging to carry out the programs dedicated to meet the aging, coordination within Easthampton. So I think, that's kind of where it came from, as far as we don't have that role, but we are advising and supporting the director and the Council on Aging building senior center that does have that role.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Crystal, because when you go back to the old one about the very first line, the very first part said, there's hereby established a Council on Aging. It didn't say Council on Aging Board. And again, that was done in 1957. So that was, I was alive then, Pat. That was the, I think the intention, as you said, was not creating a board, but creating a COA. So again, Cindy, I don't mind waiting for something. I don't know. I don't know if we need something that specific, or if it would be something along the lines of what Crystal was referring to, that the job of this board is to advise, assist in the director in the carrying out of programs that are designed to meet the needs of seniors in Easthampton, something to that effect. I don't know if we need something that's really, really specific. Is to advise. That are provided.
Huh?
You were fine where you were.
Well, but it's not just advising on programs and services. You also take a look at the budget, you look at advocacy statewide, you know,
To advise
there's so many pieces. So it's it's not so much the specifics about the senior center. It is the problems of older adults or the status of older adults in the city. It's bigger than just the senior center. It's almost like here's where we should insert our mission statement.
Right. That's what I was suggesting, that because I don't know that it's a duty of the board to determine what programs the COA should be offering. I think it's our responsibility to assist you, to make suggestions to you, but in the end of the day, I think it's your direction and your decisions on what's being offered at the senior center.
I'm going to type in here just so everybody can see it, what the current quote mission statement is. It's really not official. And it's something we could do a board session on. That's, so let me just, okay, so currently it says the Council on Aging provides essential programs and activities at the enrichment, parentheses, senior center, including social services, health and fitness classes, arts, cultural and recreational activities, accessible transportation, and educational courses that enhance the lives of adults 55 plus. That's more the, if you want to call it that's what we do. And there's like a missing piece of the actual mission that would come right before that, which makes a statement like, the residents of the city of Easthampton, they care about this, like it's your values, the value statement, right, Crystal? Would you say that that's missing from?
But if I go back to Crystal's comment, it's coming out even more now when I reread it. The duty to carry out the programs, if I go back to the original title, Cindy, the duty to carry out the programs is the duty of the Council on Aging. We're trying to redesign this ordinance to fit the board. And I'm not so sure the mission.
Oh, I see. So if you go up here, it's the Council on Aging, which is the whole thing.
Right.
It's the senior center, it's our programs and services, it's the staff, it's the board, it's in other words, it's the department and it's the advisory council.
Right.
So then what should this say? And that's exactly what they're working on at the state level too. Like they have the same problems. So,
the question is whether we wanted to say something along the lines of the board's responsibility is to advise or direct that the mission is carried out. I know I'm really paraphrasing that and cutting it back, but that's my thought, is that our job isn't to provide the programs. Our job is to advise when you come to us with a program. We might be tweaking it, we might be advising you on it, but at the end of the day, the director created the program. That makes sense?
so you could keep exactly what it says now and just add this as a second sentence, because what this is saying is in particular what the board's role is. Because the Council on Aging is not just the board, it's also the city department.
Yep.
So it could look like this. But again, it's a city ordinance and that's different from board bylaws or a department mission statement. So, I don't know how that works.
Well, I think we just have to tweak that first part. First of all, duty to carry out programs on problems of aging. Obviously, that language doesn't sound appropriate. But we don't have to finalize this here, Cindy, you were gonna reach out to someone to see where they were on, go ahead.
Well, I know where they are. The legislature didn't take it up and they have to resubmit it. So I was going to ask them, given what this says now, what would be the new language that would describe this?
Okay,
You know, it's probably going to say something like, you know, we're here to serve older adults. And,
I've seen something that talks about access to the community.
Louise has her hand up, Tom.
yes, Louise, yes.
I've seen something, and I'll try to look it up, which talks about access to the community being part of everything, which is, you know, I feel particularly because due to physical limitations caused by aging, I can't access a lot of things. The programs here, and I just want to know, I think that's happening to a lot of other people, and you don't know it's going to happen until it happens. I mean, the AARP's full of it. You think, oh, I'm fine. I can get here. I can get there. And then whoops, you're in a place you can't.
So to paraphrase what Louise is saying, I think what Louise is saying is the definition of what a council on aging is shouldn't be so narrow as to only talk about the senior center. It should be broad enough to also talk about the issue that an older adult wants to access generally resources in the community.
And be part of it.
But that might be too specific for a city ordinance as opposed to that's determined in programs and services. That's your operations, which
Right.
is, you know, you decide how much of your resources in a given senior center or at a given council on aging in a given city are going to go towards what? Transportation or art or on-site or intergenerational partnerships or getting you to UMass.
I
Like
think
that's the
I agree
meat
with you,
of it.
Cindy. I think this part of the ordinance has to be the view from 30,000 feet. And if I go back to the original, look at the first word of the title, duty. So basically what they were trying to explain is what is the responsibility of the counts on aging? What's their responsibility? And I think that has to be, you know, a 3 or 4 sentence paragraph that sums it all up the best it can. But yet, because I'm trying to tweak this to reference the board as much as the COA, I think we have to include that part that says about the board advising.
Crystal
you
has
have-
her hand up.
Pardon?
Crystal has her hand up.
Sorry, Crystal, go.
Tom, I'm wondering if where it says it shall be the duty of the Council on Aging, if we added the word staff after that to carry out programs designated to meet the problems of aging in coordination with programs. If we just added staff after that, and then the next part where we could talk about what the mission statement is, you know, to the staff, and then the duty of the board would be after that. Because our duty is to advise and support the director and staff of the Easthampton Council on Aging and Enrichment Center and the mission of the Council on Aging. Would that be encompassing enough for us?
Yes, definitely. And Cindy, that whole reference to bylaws and dates and all that should go at the tail end.
Yeah, Tom, I have my hand up.
Yes,
Yeah, so the point is that until the legislature has a new law, you know, about specifically providing guidance to communities about what the boards are, then we should, if we're going to put a statement in about what the board is, we probably have to look in the current legislation. You know, there's probably, we might have to cite something there if we're throwing the board part in the city ordinance. So we have to find out, is there a current, what
Okay.
would the current citation be? But we're over time.
well, we started a few minutes late, so I'm going to take one more minute.
Oh.
Cindy, could we go, if you go back up shall be the duty of the Council on Aging staff to carry out programs designed to meet the needs. I don't like the word problem. Designed to meet the needs of seniors. Meet the needs of seniors, not aging.
Yeah, just so you know, they're gonna be changing it to older adults because they don't like seniors at the top, but,
Okay, you can make it older
the
adults.
business like seniors, but yeah, okay.
Whatever you want to do, either, yeah, seniors. Period. Period. Forget the rest of it. So get rid of in coordination with all of that stuff. So we're not referencing the Department of Elder Affairs. But then, so if you get rid of the rest of that, in coordination with all the way down to the period, get rid of that.
I'd say it's Cindy. Go ahead.
Okay, but you gotta remember, the second most prominent funding source for councils on aging is money from the state per senior. It's a formula. I think you probably are gonna have to keep it in there because this is a program of the state. The state is, you wouldn't have a council on aging throughout every city if the state did not have in
Okay.
the law that you have to.
Fine, leave it in there. Then when you come all the way down to the parentheses where it starts with bylaw in parentheses,
Okay, hang on. Yeah,
that should go at the very tail end. All those, because now we're going to add another date to it when it's approved. They don't ever get rid of them. They just keep it the other dates. So now the new one's going to be whatever of 24.
At the moment, we've got the mission statement as part of this.
No,
not
I
yet.
think, I don't know if the rest of it can just be left out. Yeah. And then Cindy, all we need to do is look at that title.
Okay.
Perfect. How's that sound to everybody? What you see right there? Crystal, sounds okay?
So it says duty to carry out programs on the needs of older adults, coordination with state council.
Yep.
It shall be the duty of the Council on Aging staff to carry out programs designed to meet the needs of seniors/older adults in coordination with the programs of the Department of Elder Affairs established under law. The duty of the Board of the Council on Aging is to advise the Director in Easthampton Council on Aging and Richmond Center on that, to advise
At the
that,
mission,
sorry, to advise on implementing the mission.
Right.
The mission of the Council on Aging.
Period. So then you get rid of.
Yep.
Yeah, get rid of that. And then get rid of what would the current citation be?
where
then
is the mission?
And so in other words, the mission doesn't go in here because the
no.
mission was never in the city ordinance, so it wouldn't be in the city ordinance. The mission is operating business. Plus,
then
you're gonna change your mission over time, and you don't want to have to change the city ordinance every time you change your mission.
Correct.
think
This is meant to be from
Yeah.
30,000 feet. Cindy, could you just bring it up, Cindy? Bring it up so it's
So bring
underneath
it
there.
up, and then Crystal has her hand up.
Go ahead, Crystal.
I was just wondering if we should add the word and services with mission. So rather than just saying the mission, it could say the mission and services of the Council on Aging, because we do advise on services as well.
When I said bring it up, Cindy, I'm just referring to that whole paragraph. No, I'm sorry. That whole paragraph should just be backspaced up closer to the title. There you go. So if everybody's okay with that, and the longer I go, the more you're going to be okay with it. if everybody's okay with this, I would like to bring this forward. I already have a city councilor lined up who's prepared to bring it forward. They're going to submit it to a subcommittee. The subcommittee will hopefully bless it, send it back to the city council. And then if this gets approved, we've accomplished the main piece we want to accomplish, which is being able to get board members who work in Easthampton but don't live in Easthampton.
All right, I'm
Yes.
just highlighting all the parts that you changed.
Does that sound okay with everybody?
Yes.
And I don't think we need a vote on this. We kind of just collaborated on, unless you think we need a vote, it's up to you guys.
Ah,
Cindy,
this
Yes.
says for terms of 3 years, but we have terms of 2 years and 3 years, don't we?
no, I thought they were 3 years, but they're staggered based on when you came.
They are, people are appointed to complete somebody else's term if somebody's
Okay.
leaving.
It is 3 years, but they're all staggered. So there's something like 3 people a year that go off. I'm sorry, that their term expires.
Okay. All right, so everything is now highlighted that I think is different from the original.
Go back up, Cindy, for a moment. Yes, thank you. Yep. So if you could send that back to me, Cindy,
Yep,
I will, I'll take it from here.
okay.
Any other questions about this or any other business?
No, but I don't know if you started recording this whole meeting now that I look. Did you?
I did hit recording.
All right. I usually I thought it said something like record. Oh, it is. All right.
There was
Good.
a second button you had to hit usually, Cindy, I thought.
It's good.
Is it good?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, good. Sorry, my bad. I just
So-
said something else when it was recording. My bad.
Our next meeting is scheduled for October 15th. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move. We adjourn.
Is there a
Second.
second? Pat, second. All in favor of adjourning?
Bye.
Aye.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.